Hello and welcome. This is Ideagen TV. Today we have Kerstin Recker, co-founder of Authentifi, with us. Welcome, Kerstin.
Thank you, Cooper. We're super excited to be here as part of the Ideagen Summit on Resiliency. I'm Kerstin Recker on behalf of Authentifi, and I'm going to be speaking to you about resiliency and philanthropy and the technology imperative. The social crisis that ensued in 2020 prompted many organizations to reflect on their operating standards. Philanthropy has been no exception. This massive trillion-dollar industry is not immune to the big technology trends that's sweeping the nation right now. While philanthropy isn't known for operating at startup speed, many of organizations have had to transform quickly in the midst of the pandemic, from foundations to corporate philanthropy to nonprofits. This has forced the sector to evolve at a faster rate than ever before, and it's imperative that they continue to do so in order to build resiliency. 2020 exposed these philanthropic organizations to mounting pressures and a massive technology gaps. Demand and services increased at an accelerated rate. Everything from resources to funding were strained. Meanwhile, they had very limited technology to shift to the new economy, and many are struggling to embed digital technology into their operating models today. So how did we get here? Historically, philanthropy has underfunded technology. In fact, a recent report by Accenture said that the charity sector lags behind the private sector by at least 5 years. And the private sector spending on technology is at least 4 times greater than that of the social sector. And this is a problem with demand rapidly increasing and the lack of capabilities to navigate the new digital economy. Given this, philanthropic leaders are becoming more and more worried about their capacity to deliver on their missions. So what's the answer? Modernization and transformation. Philanthropic organizations must develop a sound digital and technology plan that modernizes their organizations to meet the challenges of tomorrow. The good news is that leaders are putting more and more focus on tech infrastructure than ever before. In fact, in a recent survey, 51% of the respondents expect their IT budgets to increase this year. Philanthropic organizations must embrace a technology strategy that improves the experience across the board for all constituents, for everybody from employees, grantees, beneficiaries, and the grant makers. But let's start with what they can do to improve the employee experience. This pandemic has forced employees to adapt to working in totally new ways with less resources and often without being in the field or being on site in the communities they're working in. As we look to the future, many organizations are going to need to embrace a strategy that includes ongoing upscaling and reskilling of employees, so they're prepared to use the technologies they need to continue the services they're trying to provide. We're going to need to embrace more tools for frontline employees to gather data, capture insights in real time so they can understand better how their services are impacting the communities. Technology like Impact Atlas is doing a great job to deliver such service. And we need solutions that will empower them to serve their stakeholders more effectively. Solutions like Salesforce to help with donor communications and Flux to help manage the grant application process, as well as things like Teams and Slack to provide better communications within the organization and across different organizations to foster better collaboration. This ultimately, the goal is to increase the time spent on the organization's core mission and less time spent on doing erroneous tasks. Let's move to the grantee experience. The grantee experience in philanthropy can make or break a mission, but the right technologies will make it easier for the grantee to provide information to grant makers. A survey by the Technology Association of Grantmakers provided insights into the future of philanthropic tech, and it in fact found that 61% of foundations are working to streamline the grant application process as well as the reporting process in response to COVID-19. What's more exciting is we're starting to see foundations move to doing even more. They're providing training, technical assistance, tools, and ongoing technology directly to grantees. Recognizing and rapidly reducing the burden on grantees of erroneous application and reporting is heartening and it's welcoming, but we need to continue to do more in order for these grantees to succeed. As we then move to the beneficiary, the way we engage beneficiaries changed drastically in 2020. We need to think about how we can mitigate challenges today and in the future. In order to do so, philanthropic organizations need to make technology and digital tools available and usable to beneficiaries. Information needs to be easy to use, and tactics such as putting a call to action on a web page and or making it easier to navigate online platforms with automated instructional prompts will both reduce the stress on the beneficiary and the staff. The other thing we need to start to embrace more is mobile technology to conduct SMS or text-based surveys to find out quicker if the services that are being provided are making an impact and or what the immediate needs of the community are. And last but not least, we need to lean into technologies that will help ensure service delivery regardless of the crisis we're facing. And I want to stop here to talk about one organization called Paper Airplanes that's really embracing the concept of technology and using it in a simple and powerful way. Paper Airplanes provides education to young people affected by conflict in the Middle East and Africa. They've embraced Skype and other online communications to ensure that education services are delivered despite the crises that are facing and to ensure services do not go uninterrupted. This is a model for other organizations to look to as they think about their digital strategy. Last but not least, I want to talk about the Grantmaker experience because it's critical to the success of the philanthropic space. There's limited donor funding, and nonprofits and other organizations are going to need to be very responsive to donor needs. There's more competition. So developing tight relationships with the grantmakers is critical, and securing sustained funding. In fact, organizations that make the shift towards more personalization and transparency will likely see a great payoff. In a recent survey by Accenture, they found that 81% consider it important to know what the real impact of their charitable contribution is, and 44% would be willing to donate more, as much as 10% more, if they received a personalized experience. This means that organizations are going to start to need to embrace technology that delivers on both of these concepts. The good news is that technology is out there to help them do exactly that. Authentifi is one of these tools. Authentifi is a charitable fund management platform that makes it easy for grant makers like foundations to create charitable funds around pooled initiatives like hunger or girls' education. It makes it easy for grantees to share information and progress reports on how their journey to impact is progressing. And it helps grant makers better understand the impact of their individual contributions in aggregate and over time through quarterly and annual reports that show how their charitable funds are performing, as well as the projects within them. This is all done in one unified platform in just a few simple clicks. Last but not least, I want to talk about AI and blockchain. These are going to become critical to building capacity with grant makers. The good news is that machine learning and predictive modeling is already helping charities learn who gives, how and why, and when to engage them. It's helping create automated and more intelligent communication flows and extract data faster. In the future, AI can be used for everyday giving, spurred by real-time information about local needs, modeled on existing commercial applications. But right now, it's critical for the philanthropic sector to get involved. We have an opportunity to proactively shape the next era of AI and ensure at least a significant portion of the technology remains dedicated to the values and the needs of philanthropy. And lastly, I want to talk about blockchain because it presents new opportunities. Blockchain allows the ability to provide proof of need and proof of receipt. And this is important because it creates more accountability that allows grant makers to see where their funds are going and may help restore some of the lost credibilities that charities have faced. I want to end where we began, talking about rebuilding, reimagining, and reaching for greater impact. Rapid advances in technology are changing philanthropy in fundamental ways. It's making it potentially more rational, more effective, more collaborative, more transparent, and I'd even go as far to say as more democratic. Philanthropic organizations have a potential to improve almost every aspect of their operations and every experience for each constituent. With greater recognition of technology gaps and a strategy for integrating technology and the mindset for continuous innovation, organizations can shift from rebuilding and embracing new technologies that will ensure their future sustainability and resiliency. Thank you so much for having us here today.